They say your worth isn't measured by the emails you send, it's measured by the ones that stop when you're gone. I didn't realize how true that was until week 3 of my strategic optimization. But let me back up to the moment I knew I was the last damn domino holding that mess together. It was a Wednesday. Q4 integration sync with Valor Tech, the kind of meeting where 3 departments talk past each other until someone, me, plays adult babysitter and rewrites the action items in English, not buzzword soup. The engineers at Valor Tech liked me because I didn't waste time pretending I knew how to code. I just knew how to translate their logic into workflows that didn't cause fires on deployment day. The suits liked me because I didn't scare the client away with 6-point font disclaimers buried in decks. That morning, the integration lead from Valor Tech, Carlos, pulled me aside before the call and said, "Hey, if you ever leave, we're screwed. Nobody here understands the org chart like you do." I laughed, told him I had no plans to go anywhere. Jokes on both of us. I was late to that meeting because IT had locked me out of the shared drive again, that it was an access sync issue. I fixed it myself in under 2 minutes. The whole company ran on band-aids and miracle prayers, and I was the one holding the roll of gauze. And hey, real quick before I get deeper into this mess, if you're listening and you haven't hit that little subscribe button yet, do me a solid. Only takes a second, but it helps our whole team keep churning out these stories like coffee through a Keurig at 8 a.m. on audit week. Hit that like too, it tells the algorithm we're worth a damn. Anyway, where was I? Right, the sync call. CFO didn't show again. Valor Tech asked about budget amendments. I knew the numbers better than finance did, so I talked them through it on the fly. My boss texted me during the call, "Nice catch. Can you do the ops call Friday too?" "Sure, add it to the list." I handled onboarding for their new DevSec team, helped rewrite a compliance memo so it didn't sound like it was written by a thesaurus having a nervous breakdown. Ran point on a third-party audit that should have taken 6 weeks, we wrapped it in 3. I didn't ask for applause, just wanted my check and my piece. Late Thursday, I mentioned to Jordan, this intern-turned-analyst who liked to pretend he advised C-suite people, that Valor Tech's contract had a funny little clause. Clause 14.3b. I said almost like a throwaway. I'm the only named resource on the integration section. Technically, they can't swap me out without breaching. He blinked. Huh, weird, that's probably legacy language. Nobody reads those anyway. Nobody but me, because I'd helped draft it. Back when we signed Valor Tech, they'd insisted on a named liaison who understood both federal procurement and back-end architecture. Guess who ticked that unicorn box? Spoiler, not the guy who called spreadsheets sexy. I worked quiet. I wasn't flashy. Didn't throw elbows in the cafeteria or flood Slack with motivational gifs. But when something broke, people called me, and I answered. Nights, weekends, Christmas Eve. I once talked to junior PM through a rollback at 2 a.m. while eating leftover stuffing in flannel pajamas. Did I resent that? No, that was the job. That's what loyalty looks like when you think the company sees you. But then the air started changing. Slowly, like how you smell ozone before a storm, but the clouds haven't quite rolled in yet. It started with meeting invites dropping off. Then the daily stand-up became a leadership sync, and I wasn't on the thread. My calendar had more white space than a therapy journal. Still, I hoped it was just corporate growing pains. Reorg jitters. The new CEO had just been announced. Some hotshot from a West Coast SAW company with a name that sounded like a toddler's toy. I figured he'd shake a few trees, rename some orgs, then settle in and learn who actually did the work around here. I was wrong, but I hadn't realized yet just how disposable I was about to become. Not in their eyes, but in mine. The new CEO introduced himself with a LinkedIn post that used the word disrupt 4 times, that he was thrilled to join a legacy-resistant organization ready to embrace aggressive transformation. Translation? He was here to burn shit down and collect bonuses from the ashes. He wore those all-black sneakers that made him look like he jogged between crypto keynotes and referred to the company's core services as drag. As in, we've got to trim the drag and accelerate revenue-facing velocity. I'd been in this game long enough to know what that meant. Middle management purge, soul extraction, then a slide deck explaining why the culture improved after they gutted half the team. Within the first 2 weeks, 3 senior managers disappeared. No goodbye emails, just missing faces in Zoom boxes and projects quietly reassigned to floating resources. I wasn't naive. I knew the knife was swinging, but I didn't expect it to come for me. Not yet. I wasn't a manager in title, but I'd mentored half the damn ops team. When budget season hit, they called me. When Valor Tech wanted integration summaries, they called me. When the junior compliance analyst had a panic attack because he submitted the wrong audit date to federal procurement, I was the one who fixed it while he hyperventilated in the bathroom. Still, something started slipping. First, the Monday planning call calendar invite vanished from my inbox. Tightening the circle, my director messaged, "You'll get the recap." Then the DevSec team I supported was reassigned. No explanation, just a Slack message from the new department head. "Appreciate your past work, transitioning this under Eric moving forward." Then the ops sync. Gone. followed by the finance review I'd led quarterly for 5 years. I reached out to Julia in PMO, half joking, "Hey, am I in stealth mode this quarter, or did I fall into a time loop?" She replied with a gif of someone shrugging. No words, just pixels pretending everything was fine. By week 3, my direct reports were no longer mine. They were matrixed under 2 different VPs. I wasn't informed. I overheard one of them talking about it in the kitchen like it was common knowledge. I was literally standing there, stirring Splenda into my burnt office coffee while she said, "Yeah, Sam's folks are with Jill now. Clean break, clean break." Like I was gum scraped off a heel. HR rescheduled my performance review 3 times. Bandwidth issues, they said. The new comp model is still being finalized, but I knew what was coming. This wasn't delay, it was stage setting. Then came the access issues. I tried to pull an old compliance audit file, locked. System migration, IT said. I tried to view my own project folder, permissions error. Try again tomorrow. After 2 days, I called Jeff in IT directly. We'd worked together for years. He sounded uncomfortable, like he was reading from a script with a knife to his neck. "Samantha, I can't restore the access. I've got a ticket here that says it's above me." Above him, I was the damn reason most of those files existed, and now I was being boxed out of my own history. I started saving hard copies of anything with my name on it, quietly. At home, I didn't delete a thing. Just downloaded copies of key docs I'd authored, audit templates, vendor matrices, org maps, and that contract with Valor Tech. The original one. The one I'd signed next to their GC with the clause I hadn't mentioned in years. Clause 14.3b, the non-substitution clause. It was buried in legalese like a landmine waiting for a careless footstep. They must have forgotten, or maybe they never even knew. The new CEO certainly didn't. He had a background in product launches and exit strategies, not federal integration contracts with classified dependencies. I kept showing up. I smiled. I wore the same neutral cardigans and showed up on the dot. But inside, it was like watching someone start a fire in your kitchen while telling you it's just steam. There's a difference between being overlooked and being surgically erased. One of the new VPs passed me in the hallway that Friday. He smiled like we were in on the same joke and said, "Excited for where we're headed, Samantha. This is a growth era." Funny, because all I felt was shrinkage. They called it a routine check-in. Calendar invite from HR, subject line, quick sync. No agenda, no attendees listed besides a name I didn't recognize, some new HR partner with a smiley profile pic and a LinkedIn that read like a Hallmark card. I knew, before I opened the door. Before I sat down, I knew. What gave it away could have been the conference room. HR didn't usually book conference rooms for syncs. Could have been the manila envelope already sitting in front of the empty chair, or the silence when I entered, no warm greeting, no water bottle, not even a fake attempt at small talk. Just her, this HR rep named Lexi, flipping nervously through papers like she wasn't sure which grenade to toss first. "Hi, Samantha. Thanks for coming in," she said, not looking up. "We'll keep this short." Lexi took a deep breath like she was about to dive into a pool of acid. As part of the company's broader strategic optimization initiative, your role has been identified as redundant. They could have said unnecessary, outdated, misaligned. Hell, they could have said we're gutting people like fish to save margins, and it would have been more honest. But no, they went with the PR-polished poison pill. Strategic optimization. I didn't flinch, didn't speak. I just folded my hands and looked at her like she was reading me the weather. "There will be no further transition period," she added, voice trembling slightly. "Today is your last day. Your access has already been deactivated." Of course it had. She slid the envelope across the table. "Here's your separation agreement and a standard NDA. You'll receive 2 months severance upon signing. 2 months, 11 years. Month per decade and a bonus month for good behavior." That's what I was worth to them. I asked if anyone from leadership would be joining. She blinked, confused. I said, usually someone from the department would speak to the transition or say goodbye. Lexi gave a rehearsed shrug. This was a centralized decision. Centralized, cold, efficient, like I was a loose cable getting clipped so the system could run leaner. She asked if I had any personal belongings at my desk. I said yes, just a coffee mug, a sweater, and a plant that had seen better days. She nodded toward the hallway. "Security can escort you." I laughed. "Quiet, hollow. I know where the door is." Still, a security guy in a badge and board expression waited for me outside like I was going to steal the damn copy machine. I walked with him, silent. Didn't make eye contact with anyone. Not that it mattered, most were still on Zoom pretending this place had a soul. And I got to my desk, my computer was already logged out. Phone disconnected. The Slack workspace had the gall to send me a push notification. "Your login has expired." No shit, Sherlock. I opened my bottom drawer, took my mug, the plant, the sweater. Then my eyes landed on the red accordion folder I'd tucked away years ago, old contract stuff I'd printed back when everyone still feared cloud storage. Inside, untouched and perfectly preserved, was the addendum to the Valor Tech contract. My name, my title, clause 14.3b circled in blue ink. I slipped it into my tote bag, not as revenge, not yet, just instinct. When you're falling through corporate trapdoors, you grab what might break the fall. Lexi walked me to the exit like we were headed to brunch. At the glass doors, she smiled. "We appreciate everything you've done, Samantha." I didn't smile back. You're going to land on your feet. She added, her tone syrupy with fake empathy. I finally spoke. I'm not worried about my feet. I'm just curious who's going to explain the fire when I'm gone. She blinked, confused. I left before she could ask what I meant. No dramatic goodbye, no speech. Just the sound of sliding glass and my own heels clicking away from the ruins. 11 years gone like a typo. And the worst part, not the layoff. It was the silence. The sheer, suffocating absence of anyone who'd once claimed to have my back. No texts, no Slack pings, not even a LinkedIn sorry to hear from the people I'd mentored through burnout, breakups, and budget hell. It was like I'd never been there, but that clause in my bag, that remembered me just fine. The first week after the layoff was airless. No rage, no dramatic sobbing, just this numb, clinical void, like I'd stepped out of my body and left it parked at the curb. I made coffee, watched dust settle in patches of morning light, checked my email even though I knew there wouldn't be anything there. My corporate inbox was already deactivated. 11 years of replies, threads, fire drills, gone like they'd never happened. I didn't tell anyone right away, not even my sister. I just needed space to understand the shape of the silence they left behind. On day 6, my phone buzzed. Carlos Morales has sent you a message on LinkedIn. Carlos, Valor Tech's senior integration lead. We'd shared 40 deployments, 3 whiskey shots after a failed rollout, and 1 memorable night dragging a procurement spreadsheet out of a data swamp while everyone else went home. The message was short. Hey, just heard. Mind grabbing coffee sometime? Just some stuff I want to ask you. It wasn't loaded with emojis or empty sympathy. Just enough. We met at a diner in Silver Lake, 2 hours outside the city. Neutral ground. Carlos looked tired, worn around the eyes in that way only contractors under federal scrutiny understand. He didn't start with condolences. He started with a napkin where he'd scribbled a rough diagram of our shared deployment schema. You were the one who built this. Why the hell would they let you go? I shrugged. They're optimizing. Carlos snorted. Optimizing? Samantha, we've been pausing syncs left and right. No one will answer questions. Last Tuesday, the replacement sent a doc titled Phase 2, Plug and Play, Plug and Damn Play for our system. I didn't smile, just stirred my coffee. Let him keep going. We tried escalating to your VP. Heard back from a chief of staff who sent us an org chart where your name didn't exist, not even in the archived roles. It's like they scrubbed you from the walls. I finally met his eyes. Maybe that was the plan. Carlos nodded slowly, then reached into his bag and pulled out a folder, legal letterhead. We dug into the contract. I remembered something you said a couple years ago about that clause. He opened to a page I knew by heart. Clause 14.3b, named integration resource, non-substitutable without mutual agreement. Breach voids active systems support. It's got your name, your title, your signature. We confirmed it with legal. That clause is active and it's ironclad. They can't just vanish you. I didn't say much. I just let the weight of that page settle between us like fog on a highway. Carlos leaned forward. I talked to Victor, Valor Tech's founder. A former Air Force engineer who read contracts like scripture and didn't speak unless he had a target. He wants to meet you. Quietly, tonight, you free. Don't say no when a man who manages $150 million in federal defense contracts says he wants to talk. I said yes. They flew me out private. I changed in the airport lounge bathroom, traded jeans for a blazer I hadn't worn since pre-COVID galas, and landed in Austin under a sky that smelled like lightning. Dinner was at a quiet steakhouse with no name on the door. Victor was already seated when I arrived. No small talk, just a nod and a glass of water already poured. He didn't ask what happened. He just said, I read the contract again. I nodded, they breached. Cleanly. Sloppy, even, another pause. Do you want to talk options? That's all he said. No flattery, no fake warmth. Just a precise, calculated offer spoken like he was discussing coordinates for a precision strike. I felt something stir in me, something I hadn't felt in weeks. Not vengeance, not pride. Just clarity. Yes, I said, let's talk. He nodded once, then slid a napkin across the table. It had 3 bullet points. Director of Systems Strategy, full discretion to structure the pivot, use whatever name you want. Below that, he'd scribbled the letters LLC. I didn't sign anything that night. Didn't need to. We both knew the storm was already coming. They'd lit the match when they fired me. All Victor and I had to do now was aim the fire. As I walked out of that restaurant, heels clicking against polished wood, I felt it for the first time since the layoff, gravity returning. Not just back to me, but through me. They didn't just forget who I was, they forgot who was watching. I incorporated the LLC the next morning. Just me, a black coffee, and a state filing website that tried to upsell me on branded pens. I named it something forgettable, on purpose, white noise in a sea of noise. No ego, no initials, just a clean slate with a legal ID and a tax number. That same afternoon, Valor Tech's legal team sent over the offer. Director of Systems Strategy, via my company. Contracted, not employed, autonomous, surgical. The salary made my jaw tighten, not because it was too low, but because it was higher than I ever imagined they'd offer. Victor didn't want a consultant. He wanted a scalpel, wanted the person who could pick up the wreckage and build something future-proof from the bones. Clause 2.1 of the agreement said it plainly. Samantha is empowered to design, manage, and restructure integration workflows without additional approvals, as deemed necessary to stabilize post-breach conditions. No red tape. No, we'll run it by procurement. No one to tell me to loop in a guy named Brett who's never read a contract in his life. It was power. Quiet. Surgical power. I didn't sign right away. I printed the letter, sat on my couch, and stared at it for an hour. Not out of doubt, out of habit. 11 years teaches you to read the fine print and the fingerprints. I emailed a question about indemnity. Valor Tech's GC replied in under 10 minutes, no flinch, no delay, just we've included that in Clause 9C. We've got you covered. I signed 4 copies, scanned and uploaded. The final signed version came back countersigned by Victor and the GC, timestamped to the minute. And that, my friends, is when the tide turned. They didn't shout it from rooftops. Valor Tech didn't post about it on LinkedIn or blast press releases. That wasn't the point. The pivot was happening in the shadows, silent, legal, irreversible. They paused 2 active integrations citing contractual misalignment. They issued a formal notification of breach to my former employer, referencing 14.3b by name. The language was bloodless, but the intent, surgical strike. Due to termination of the named liaison in Clause 14.3b, Valor Tech exercises its right to suspend all current activities pending review. A pause, they called it, but this wasn't a pause. This was a noose. And the team that fired me, they hadn't even realized the trapdoor was beneath their feet. Victor's assistant texted me the next morning, "You'll be in the room Monday. Bring the contract addendum." I asked if I should prepare slides. "No need," she said. "We'll bring the iPad. Simple, clean, brutal. It was loaded already." The signed offer letter, my new title, timestamped signatures, contractual authority, all of it prepped for one silent act of detonation. And the irony, they still thought they were in control. I got a ping on my personal email that afternoon. Former coworker. "Hey, weird question. Do you know why Valor Tech just archived our shared channel and canceled all calendar syncs?" I didn't answer. I just let the silence do the talking. My job now wasn't to get even, it was to get better. And every hour that passed, they made my job easier. It started with the Slack channel. Valor Tech's shared integration workspace, a space that had been buzzing daily for 3 years, just vanished. 1 minute it was there. Next it was a gray ghost with an italicized message. "This channel has been archived." No explanation, no export. Just gone, like someone had pulled the plug and walked away whistling. A project lead named Devin sent a group message at 7:14 a.m. "Hey, anyone know what happened to Valor Tech Sync?" I was mid-thread with their audit team. No one responded. Not because they didn't know, but because nobody wanted to be the first to say it out loud. By noon, people started whispering. Just a reorg on their side, maybe a new platform rollout. Carlos is probably on vacation. But then someone checked the sync calendar. All meetings with Valor Tech canceled, the shared Google Drive locked out. The budget amendment proposal that had been in review for weeks, pulled from the tracker with a note that simply read, "Pending rescoping." That's when the blood pressure in the building collectively ticked upward. By Friday, my old team was in full anxiety mode. I heard from Dana, one of the junior analysts I used to mentor, through a back channel. "Hey Sam, not trying to be weird, but do you know what's going on with Valor Tech? The COO said it's just churn, but like this feels off, really off." I didn't reply. I read it, closed the message, and stared at the window for a long time because I wanted to answer her. I liked Dana. She worked hard, stayed late, asked real questions. But this wasn't my war to fight on Slack. My revenge wasn't going to come in breadcrumbs. It was going to come in thunder. The CEO, bless his clueless little heart, got wind of the murmurs and decided to do what CEOs do when they've screwed up but don't know where the landmines are yet. He hosted a town hall. "We're seeing some normal ebb and flow with certain legacy clients," he said, standing in front of a slide deck that looked like it was built by ChatGPT on NY Quill. "Churn is part of growth. We're refocusing our bandwidth toward high-potential verticals. Valor Tech's pipeline isn't going away, it's just realigning." Realigning, sure, like a plane realigns when it loses both engines. The kicker? He smiled while saying it. Smiled like he'd solved hunger. Like he wasn't hemorrhaging the company's biggest defense contract because he'd axed the only person legally allowed to own that pipeline. Victor hadn't replied to their breach notice. That's what made it worse. There were no threats, no follow-up, just a stillness. A black hole where momentum used to be. And you know what silence does in a corporate ecosystem? It grows teeth. By the following week, procurement flagged that Valor Tech's quarterly order had been pulled. Engineering flagged a deployment request as terminated by client. One of the system's architects logged into our backend dashboard and found Valor Tech's sandbox environment was marked inactive. None of it triggered alarms. That's how good Valor Tech's legal team was. It was all perfectly procedural. Every cord snipped quietly, like a surgeon detaching the organs of a dying patient before the beeping starts. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. No public posts. No updates. No dramatic new chapter selfie holding a latte and a blazer. I just worked, quietly, precisely, from a desk they'd never seen under a name they hadn't bothered to remember. The internal rumor mill did what it always does, chewed up what it couldn't understand. Maybe Valor Tech's doing internal layoffs. Maybe it's political. Maybe Sam tanked the account before she left. That last one made me laugh. Tank it? I was the only thing keeping it afloat. But now they could watch it sink and realize the person they threw overboard was the one who built the damn ship. The subject line was neutral. Request, contract review meeting urgent sent from Valor Tech's general counsel, addressed to the CEO, Ku, and head of legal. No panic in the phrasing, no hints of fire. Just polite urgency, like a neighbor knocking at 2 a.m. to say you left your headlights on. And your garage is on fire. They scheduled it for Wednesday, 9 a.m. sharp. Executive boardroom. No assistants, no strategic consultants, no layers of plausible deniability, just the top brass. They thought it was a budget renegotiation, maybe a clause clarification. Maybe Victor was getting antsy and wanted to redefine scope. They didn't know what was coming, I made sure of that. I arrived 5 minutes late, not accidentally. The room was already full, COO at the far end flipping pages. CEO pacing lightly, doing that fake casual act like a man trying to pretend he owns the space while quietly shitting bricks. Legal was mid-sentence about margin flexibility when the door clicked behind me. Every head turned. Victor walked in beside me. I didn't look at them, not yet. I pulled out the chair directly to his right, set my bag down, and slid into the seat like it had always belonged to me. Silence fell like a dropped glass. You know that kind of silence? Not awkward, charged, like static before lightning. Their legal counsel squinted, already putting it together. The COO blinked hard, but the CEO smiled, forced, waxy. Samantha, he said, voice pitching just slightly too high. Didn't expect to see you here. I smiled back like a blade sliding into a sheath. Seems we've got some mutual interest to align, I said softly. I didn't raise my voice, didn't posture. I didn't need to. The weight of what was coming had already started bending the air in the room. Victor sat still, said nothing. Just gave a small nod toward me and then toward the center of the table. I reached into my bag, pulled out a plain white envelope, thick stock, no label. I slid it across the polished wood toward the CEO. He looked at it like it might bite. What's this? He asked, not touching it yet. I leaned back in my chair, a reminder. Didn't open it, he didn't have to. He knew, or at least he was starting to. His eyes flicked toward Legal, who reached for the envelope and froze halfway when Victor finally spoke. Before we begin, Victor said calmly, we want to make sure we're all on the same page regarding contract obligations, specifically clause 14.3b. The temperature in the room dropped 5 degrees. The COO shifted in his seat. Legal opened a binder so quickly the pages hissed. The CEO cleared his throat and made the mistake of trying confidence. Of course, he said, this is just a routine review. We're happy to discuss any ambiguities. If there's concern around scope, we're flexible. Victor didn't blink. There's no ambiguity, he said, just a breach. The envelope sat between them like a ticking clock. No one opened it, no one needed to. My signature was in there, my offer letter. My LLC header, Valor Tech's counter-signature, time-stamped, and a brief note from Legal quoting the very clause I'd circled in blue ink all those years ago. I sat still, breathing slow, watching the quiet unravel behind their eyes. The CEO looked at me again, but this time with something behind his eyes that hadn't been there before. Recognition, not respect, not yet, but fear that was starting to bloom. Victor adjusted his cufflinks like he was about to order dessert, not detonate a 9-figure contract. We've prepared a summary, he said flatly. No anger, no tension, just clean surgical precision, the kind of voice you only hear from people who know the outcome and are just letting others catch up. The CEO leaned forward, but didn't speak. You could tell he was about to throw out some buzzword-laced olive branch, collaboration, moving forward, maybe even synergies if he was feeling brave. But before he could get a single syllable out, Valor Tech's lead attorney, quiet, sharp-suited, and nearly invisible until now, reached into his briefcase, pulled out an iPad, and placed it gently on the table like he was laying a headstone. He tapped the screen once. Bright white light, Valor Tech's logo, a PDF open and waiting. The CEO looked at it, blinked, looked again. There it was, offer of engagement, Samantha Caldwell title, Director of Systems Strategy Entity, Caldwell Strategic Integration LLC effective, retroactive to timestamp signature. Samantha Caldwell countersigned, Victor M. Rios, Valor Tech Solutions, my name, my LLC, my timestamp, my contract. There was no argument, no wiggle room. No, we thought she was a free agent. There it was, binding, active, and glaring at them like a spotlight in a lineup. I didn't move, didn't smile. Just sat there, legs crossed, pen in hand, like I was taking notes on their confusion. Victor's voice, when it came again, was low and unhurried. Given clause 14.3b, he said, turning to the CEO, explain this. The silence was immediate and total. The COO looked down. Their legal counsel inhaled through his nose and opened his binder with shaking fingers. The CEO just stared, like he'd been asked to recite a poem in a foreign language while being filmed for a courtroom. Clause 14.3b, named integration resource, non-substitutable without written mutual agreement. Breach voids active support commitments and enables unilateral termination without penalty. And there it was. No written agreement, no heads up, no plan. Just a unilateral firing of the one person they were legally forbidden to remove. I thought I was a name on a spreadsheet. Turns out I was a load-bearing wall. The CEO's mouth opened like he was about to speak, then shut again with a soft click. You could almost hear the gears grinding in his head, trying to find any possible escape hatch, any justification, any language they could spin. But there was none. Victor didn't move. The iPad stayed right there, blazing, blinking, permanent. The lawyer spoke this time, barely louder than a whisper. This timestamp predates the breach notice. Correct, Victor said. We weren't informed, the CEO said, suddenly trying to muster up outrage. This wasn't disclosed. We had no. Victor cut him off with a single raised hand. No words, just a gesture that sucked the air out of the room like a vacuum seal. He turned to me, not for permission, not for support, just acknowledgement, and still I said nothing. Because this wasn't my performance. This was their reckoning. And every word they failed to speak confirmed exactly what they'd done. The CEO tried to find words, but they came out like a bad Wi-Fi connection. Fragments of half-thoughts wrapped in corporate static. I think there's been a misinterpretation. This clause, while technically active, may not reflect the current operational model. I mean, we've made several strategic adjustments post-signing, and the Valor Tech attorney didn't blink. He just lifted a single page from his own binder, laid it over the iPad, and pointed to one sentence. You terminated the only named party who could fulfill this deal. Full stop. No wiggle, no pivot. Just the kind of sentence that ends meetings, careers, and sometimes entire companies. Their general counsel looked like she'd swallowed glass, flipping through her binder like it would magically change the date on my offer letter or rewrite the clause we all knew had been carved in legal stone. The coup, for all his buttoned-down confidence, had gone dead silent. Hands folded tight in his lap, looking everywhere but at me. Victor sat perfectly still, not smug, not cruel, just patient, like a man who knew the guillotine had already dropped and was just waiting for the thud. He leaned forward slightly, looked the CEO in the eye, and spoke with the soft finality of a man who writes checks with commas and consequences. Valor Tech is initiating immediate contract withdrawal. There it was, no room for appeal. No softly worded exploration of new alignment, just done, decoupled, removed like a tumor they'd been politely tolerating until now. The air in the room cracked, not loudly, but you could feel the temperature change, a drop, like winter had walked in through the HVAC vents and settled in their spines. Victor turned to me just once. One nod, that was it, not a thank you, not a bow, just mutual acknowledgement. We'll be working with her directly now, he said, standing. And just like that, the meeting was over. I didn't gloat, didn't toss off a one-liner or flash a triumphant grin. I just reached forward, tapped the iPad's power button, and slipped it into my bag. Then I stood, adjusted my sleeve, and walked out. No one followed. No one stopped me because they couldn't. They'd already made the fatal cut, and now they were bleeding out while pretending to strategize. That was 3 months ago. Today I sit in a quiet office, mine. Real plants, real light, no security badge buzzing me in. 3 new clients, 2 federal, 1 private sector. Each one signed under Caldwell Strategic Integration. Valor Tech's pivot was seamless. It didn't lose a beat, they gained one. And me? I bill them by the hour now. Every minute I used to give away for free is now calculated, precise, and very, very expensive. As for my former company, mid-acquisition fire sale. CEO's out. COO resigned to pursue new opportunities. HR got folded into the buyer's structure. Nobody talks about Clause 14.3b anymore. They whisper it like a ghost story at company happy hours. If they're still even having those, I never raised my voice. Never sent a single angry email. Didn't need to. Turns out, when you make yourself indispensable, you don't have to scream to be heard. You just have to leave. Optimization, huh? Guess they got exactly what they optimized for. Appreciate you sticking around, you legends of the break room. Subscribe for more chaos. Let's make your old managers spill their coffee in fear.